December 28th will mark the 25th anniversary of Starrcade 97, the culmination of a year-long build where Sting would finally step back in the ring to face Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The stage was set for a main event to become immortalized in wrestling history, and it did, but for all the wrong reasons. And for the first time in over 20 years on that 25th anniversary, Eric Bischoff and Nick Patrick will reunite to watch back and discuss what really happened that night at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. Hosted by Conrad Thompson, a topic that led to one of the most heated exchanges in the history of 83 weeks.
And now you're going to act like it's ludicrous that we might think that that's what happened here when you managed to fuck up the single biggest moment in the history of wrestling, and now 20 years later you get on here and lie through your fucking teeth and say it's because he wasn't tan?
I'm not lying through my teeth.
You finished over a tan? Is this real?
Ad-Free Shows presents a premium watch-along event, The Fast Count, with Eric Bischoff and Nick Patrick, December 28th, 10 p.m. Eastern, immediately following AEW Dynamite. All $29 level members and higher are invited to join, and Top Guy members will be able to ask Eric and Nick questions about this controversial night in wrestling. No spray tan necessary. Sign up today and reserve your spot at adfreeshows.com.
It's that time, so come on down. We're walking in the dog pound. Road deal, double G, Dogg and Casio. Talking shop, reminiscing on a flashback. Hall of Fame name with a legacy that's long. That's the legend of the Armstrongs. Questions get answered, oh, you didn't know? Let's start the show.
Welcome back to the show. It's Road Dogg and Casio, and you're listening to...
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah,
Still
what is up,
remarkable.
my man?
What's going on, Casio? How have you been this week? What's been going on with you?
I'm doing good. I'm getting ready for Christmas. Merry
mentioned-
Chrysler.
Merry Christmas to you, and happy
Merry
holidays
Christmas
to
to
those
you.
that don't celebrate Christmas. I want them to have their special Happy Boxer Day as well. I guess I don't know.
Happy
what the
Boxer
other
Day.
is. Yeah.
Hanukkah is upon
But,
us.
yeah, Kwanzaa, the whole deal. I want everybody to have the best time ever, and I don't know the times. I apologize, but hey, well, it's got a lot of you've gotten a lot of rain lately.
We've got
up
a
there
ton of rain. We're very
in-
Seattle here in Alabama.
It's very
right now.
North Alabama of you to have so much rain. It is very Seattle.
Very north.
It's very Seattle or London, very foggy London town in
I'll take it.
Birmingham.
I'll take
and
it.
Huntsville. Yeah. Look, I've been doing great, going to every TV and traveling. I kind of want to hang myself from time to time, but I don't. I've gained so much weight, I don't think they have a piece of cord that could hold me. So I'm just doing what I'm doing and love to doing it. Look, I do love working back and everything, but I kind of haven't been doing the job I got hired back to do because of some other reasons. I was asked to attend all the TVs for a while. And so, yeah, the traveling and getting back at it has kind of been eye-opening and anxiety-ridden for me. But it's an exercise. It's all an exercise, right? Because that's what it's all about for me, is how do you manage in between each year. And sometimes I have to play referee against myself because some of my first thoughts wrong, and I don't mean this to be a therapy session, but some of the times I think, like, the first thing I think of when an occurrence happens or whatever, a scenario unfolds, my first thought is usually wrong. And so I have to then go like, okay, that's probably not what I should do right now. You know what I mean? I should not punch this lady. I should not punch this man. I should not blame the fact that I farted in the elevator on that lady. I should not do that. But sometimes I do, and it just comes out. And then you go like, oh God. So yeah, I have to manage the anxiety in between my ears, and that's a real thing for me. And it's a big reason why I went to drugs and alcohol. I just didn't feel or think anything then. So now it's going back to Cali, just getting back to it, go back to the basics.
When you think of Christmas, Dog, and the family, I'm going to give you 4 foods. You only get 4 foods for Christmas.
Ooh.
Period.
Okay.
Everything else out. What's your 4 foods for Christmas?
Ham,
Okay.
for sure. I
Nicely
love a ham.
done.
I had a ham a big ham steak this morning for breakfast, actually. That's probably the reason we can't find anything to hold me. But I love the ham. So a ham, man.
Taters, please.
Besides, yeah, I'm going to go with a tater, but I don't know what if I'm only going to pick 4. I don't know if I'm just going to go with a mashed potato or do I want a mashed sweet potato? You know what I mean? Do I want with maybe a mashed sweet potato with a caramelized pecan crust? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we're getting into sweet potato casserole territory.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah, I'm saying so towards the casserole. That's a side. I'm a big fan of Italian cut green beans. I like.
Well, they're the best green beans.
Yeah, I agree. I like the green bean casserole with French cut and no mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms.
Can I get that fish right there?
We just became best friends.
Oh my gosh, I hate mushrooms.
Yeah, but I like it with cream of chicken and cream of celery soup to make that.
Come on now.
Good. And then I think I'm going to have to go with a roll of some sort, and it would probably be
a bread.
Yeah, some type
of
dressing. I'm not a big dressing guy. I'm not a big stuffing, my wife,
I'll
however.
flip this table.
Look, my wife, however, I hope she doesn't listen to this. Well, I'm just kidding. She doesn't. She hates me.
If you're going to tell her she makes bad dressing, don't say
Yeah. No. She makes great dressing. She uses sausage in her dressing. And so her dressing is awesome. And she loves it. And she will make it any time of the year just to make a pan of it. You know what I mean?
Come on now.
And so, so it's really good. But it's my favorite dressing. I don't know, but I would, if I only had 4 things, it wouldn't be one of the things I go, you got to have that.
Ham, green bean casserole.
Yeah.
Are you going sweet potato casserole or just mashed sweet potato?
Sweet potato casserole.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
And then are you going roll?
I am going roll. And I think I'm going to get specific with you. I think I'm going to go Hawaiian. What's the Hawaiian
roll? The
rolls?
King's bread or whatever it is?
Yes. They are.
Is sweet potato casserole your dessert?
It's kind of both. You know what I mean?
Are you a big dessert guy?
Yes.
I'd rather have, I like dessert, but I'd rather have a second plate of all the good stuff than if we're going dessert.
So then maybe I would go with my youngest daughter makes a pecan cheesecake, like bars.
What?
And it's cheesecake with like a pecan pie, half and half in a bar, you know what I mean? And so it's man, she sells them online. Actually, I'll find out her thing and shout her out on here next time. But it's really good.
What do we even have a podcast for if we can't even order your daughter's cheesecake? It changes the angle of my dangle, son.
Why am I alive?
Wait,
give
her a shout out. My face is hot thinking about it.
I'm sweating. I'm mad sweating now.
I'm gonna take this shirt off.
Oh Lord!
I've never had that, and it sounds tremendous.
I had a piece earlier today actually because she's making another batch, and she gets the little custom boxes and bows it up and makes it all special, and it's like a holiday box of treats and sweets.
We're not supposed to do ads here for the ad-free show, family.
No.
But can we
just do that
promo
instead.
Code DOG, can we get it sent to us early or something?
So
Will you tweet it out?
Let me get with her and talk with her. She's 19 and she's a woman.
What is overrun her? Hundreds of people are
not this one. This one's the one you got to watch out for. She's a Spitfire.
I love she's like, I make cakes for family, and then we got like 700 people ordering a cheesecake for Christmas.
Yeah. Let me talk to her first.
Okay, send it to me, and then I'll tell everybody if it's good. Is that a deal?
Yeah, that is a deal.
All right, my friend.
Let's get into it.
We got a fun topic today.
Okay.
You're going to love this topic today. This week on Oh You Didn't Know, we're going to discuss when you return to the Indies after walking out of a little federation called the World Wrestling Federation. You walked out. You left. But
it went out of business after that. WWF went out of business after that.
Is there a WWF right now?
Yeah, no. World Wildlife Fund.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pandas.
You're welcome, pandas.
Dog, you walk out of the WWF in late July 1995, which we covered in the archives, so be sure everybody check that out over at youtube.com. at Dogg, D-O-G-G. You want to hear that? Absolutely great episode to hear your insight on when you left WWF. But right now, we're going to start from there. We're going to start from you walking out, July 1995. Who's your first call? Is that Dad? Is that Jeff Jarrett? Is that somebody else? What's happening when you walk out?
Yeah. So, to be quite honest, I thought I was going to be okay because I was talking. I mean, me and Jeff left together, so we were together, so I didn't have to make a phone call to him. Yeah, I did call my family and told them, what I had done, and and my dad said, well, he was supportive, but he said, well, do you think that was a good move, son? And I said, yeah, of course it was a good move. And I also had about 90 grand in the bank, and I was 25-year-old right out of the Marine Corps.
Gosh.
So I thought I was rich. What I didn't know was that I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and that plus his youth equals stupidity. Yeah. And 90 grand was about equal to having $9. so it was definitely an eye-opening, awakening event in my life, that's for sure. But yeah, I called them all to tell them, but it wasn't as so, I tell you that because it wasn't so I called to get a job. I kind of thought I was going to be okay for a little while. You know what I mean? Like I honestly thought, man, 90 grand, I never had that much money in my life. You know what I mean? And I never. Do
you think, hey, I'm gonna work on the Indies enough? Or I'm gonna go to another federation. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'll get a job somewhere else. Like look, I didn't know anything at the time. I know even less today, but I didn't know anything at the time. And so I thought I was, you stand up for yourself, you do the right thing. And then I learned, oh no, that's not the way this works. You have to play the game a little bit, and you have to play the game within the rules of the game, within the parameters of the game. And I made a bad business decision. But that's only in retrospect. If you'd have talked to me then, I'd have said,
you were making the correct
screw
call,
them, and I'll do what I want, by God. And I didn't even know why I was doing it. I was just doing it because Jeff was. But in my mind, that was what I would do. If one of my brothers was leaving and I was there, he'd leave with me or I'd leave with him. It was like that for me. Like it was like, it's us against the world, dude.
When you left July 1995. Yeah. How far into it did you call Cornette?
Well, Dad and everybody was working there. Look at that picture. If you're not watching,
incredible.
You should be. It's just a picture of Yokozuna from the waist down.
I thought it was Conrad.
And
go ahead.
Come on, Konozuna. And then there's a picture of Jim Cornette's beautiful smiling face with his green jacket on and red.
Is that a fur-lined tennis racket?
Yes, a red furry tennis racket cover.
Incredible.
But look, he is incredible. He was incredible when he worked. He's still incredible to listen to today. But yeah, Dad and them were all working there, and so sometimes this time in my life, and I'm not even kidding, this time in my life gets confusing to me because I quit WWF at the time. I worked Memphis for a while. Then I went to Germany for a while. And when I say for a while in Germany, it was probably 6-8 weeks. But that whole year or 2 year span of WWF quitting, USWA, Germany,
No, don't get sidetracked.
I can't now if y'all are going to do that to me.
Our side producers are claiming they've got a red furry tennis racket in their weird room.
Come on, man. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. Dom, you got that and your pink lights, your pink LED lights. Okay. All right, cool. I read you loud and clear. So anyway, this time in my life was when I was,
a lot of things going on.
Just a lot of things happened, and my first child was being born. So a lot of things happened that I think when I came back from Germany is when I went and started working with Jim Cornette. So it wasn't right away. I could totally be wrong about that. And people think, how do you not remember your life? And I think, like, how do you remember yours? Buddy,
I don't remember what I talked about this morning on the radio. Well, that's 20 years ago.
That's the thing. And so I did a lot of dope and I get hit in the head a lot. And so I would imagine both of those have some effect on my memory. But I don't remember a lot. So some of this gets mixed up. But what I think happened, and we can get Derek to research this a little bit, is I went to Germany. I went USWA, went to Germany, came back to USWA, and Smoky Mountain happened. I think that's how it all went down. So I guess my first call was to Max Payne, Man Mountain Rock, who got me booked in Germany. But that probably came from USWA too. So yeah, it's just confusing time for me then, but let's talk about it. Cause the gimmick, the angle isn't confusing to me, just where it fell in that timeline of craziness, 95, 96.
Well, if you remember back then when you talked to Corny, was he hesitant bringing you back because you had just walked out? Now you've got a bad relationship with the company, or was he like, "You're my dude, let's go"?
So he was never like, "You're my dude," and me and him have never been dudes like that. But I'll tell you what we have been is always been respectful of one another, because he respected my father and my father respected him so much. So my respect for Jim came. I was grandfathered in, as you could say. It came because my father respected him. I respected him. And that's an unspoken rule, because you just know, in my family, you just knew, okay, Dad's a great, good judge of character. If he likes you, I like you. And if he doesn't like you, I don't like you. And you know what I mean? And that's kind of the way it always went. So Jim had Dad's respect, so he had mine automatically, and continues to do so. But I don't know that I ever talked to him one-on-one about, hey, let's do this, let's do that. I think it was pretty much Dad just saying, hey, do you mind if I bring Brian? Or do you mind if we, you know what I mean? Can we use him? But by the time Smoky Mountain, by the time this was happening, I think it had been enough time. Like I hadn't just walked out. I had walked out 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it was, he's fired. I can do whatever I want with him. You know what I mean? I can do whatever. And I professionally could have done whatever I wanted. So I don't think it was a big worry on Jim to bring him in. I got the whole Armstrong family here. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't we add that? Right. Who already had some relative spotlight, you know what I mean, shown through as the roadie. So I think he would have jumped at the chance, and so did I,
Easy transition, especially with your dad chiming in and going, hey, we're good.
Yeah, 100%. And he and Dad had a great relationship.
We encourage you, if you want to feedback at any point during this show, go ahead and hit us on social media with the hashtag Corny Dog. How about
Corny
that?
Dog. Yeah,
so we're talking about you and Corny.
People know Jim Cornette is corny, and people know that me and you love corn dogs. So we just thought Corny Dog. It's also a play on words on my name. You know what I mean? There's a lot of reasons for this very important hashtag that I really want to sell to you people. And I really...
Corny Dog, by the way, corn dogs only with mustard, correct?
Oh, I'm a mixed guy. I'm a mixed man.
What do you mean mix?
Mixed mustard and ketchup together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's got that mustard, but that's my wife is only mustard.
I'm not 5 years old, so I don't eat ketchup. But yeah, you have fun with that, man.
Oh yeah, no, I do. I eat ketchup. I eat meals. Still? I eat meals surrounded by ketchup. I eat meals by what I can put ketchup on.
Such a redneck.
Like I want some fish sticks right now because I can dip them in
Love
ketchup.
Fish sticks.
I know, me too.
You like them with ketchup?
I'm fat.
I am too, but we don't. Scrambled eggs with ketchup?
No, not really. Okay. But if some got on there because of my home fries,
oh no!
I'm all right with that.
Okay, we got to get into wrestling. Maybe you're just gonna fight. All right.
Okay.
You end up returning to Smoky Mountain Wrestling on August 4th. So you left in July at 95. What? So you left in July, and now August 4th, you are back with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You're at the Knoxville City Coliseum for their gigantic Super Bowl of Wrestling show.
So I was there, but I didn't work on that show, I don't think. Did I?
You got Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker on the card. Is it weird to walk back in the locker room knowing that Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker are here at Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Yeah, I don't remember working at that show, but I remember I was there. Maybe I did. I don't know.
You opened the show and defeated Dilo.
Oh, well, looky there. There you have it. I remember being at that show. I just didn't remember working at all. I remember the main event because everything was overshadowed by the main event. It was my father versus Terry Funk, and if Terry wins, my dad leaves Smoky Mountain forever or whatever, And Terry Funk, I remember the backstage the whole day. Terry Funk just kept saying "ARP, ARP, ARP," and the whole joke to him was, him and my father were both old enough to get AARP. And so they was literally throughout the whole match, he would hit my dad and go, "ARP, ARP." And he was just yelling ARP because they were two old guys. And then he did the old stack of chairs in the middle of the ring, put my dad on it, went to the top, did the moonsault. Dad moved. He ate the chairs. Dad beat him. Sold out. Knoxville wasn't sold out, but Knoxville went crazy. That was like the last show that I remember going to in Knoxville, tell you the truth.
So you don't remember if Shawn and Undertaker are they leaders in the locker room, or are they just getting their check and moving on?
Shawn was not. This was them brought in to do this one show as a favor.
Okay.
This was not those guys in the locker room. Make no mistake about it. You know what I'm saying?
Did you talk to him? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. No, I remember standing there talking to Shawn with my father and brother when Shawn said to my brother, "Yeah, remember you fired me and brought your kid in with Tracy Smothers?" And my dad said, "Yes, I did. I remember that well."
Awesome.
Because apparently him and they were making trouble, and then Stevie and Tracy got fired by WCW, and they go, "Well, hey, I know where we can get a babyface tag team for half the price," and they're local, and okay, great. We'll bring in the young boys or whatever they're called.
Like we said, you opened the show and defeated Dilo Brown with a DDT, and it's noted you guys got a huge pop.
Whoa.
People recognize you coming off of WWF TV. Mm-hmm. I was going to ask how you feel about being out the ring, but you didn't even know you were here.
I was in it, so...
you will
when
run
you say it that way, Casio, it makes me sound bad.
You'll run into Dilo later on the WWF with DX versus The Nation, of course.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people spotlight Dilo and the unfortunate accident he had with another wrestler, but let's talk about this. How good was Dilo? I think he's underrated.
100% underrated. Dilo was great. Look, Dilo was always good. Dilo was in my mind, was the workhorse and the backbone of the nation, and not dare I say that, but I just did, so I dare. But like I think his work was very underrated, and I think he can go. When in his prime, he could have got in there and gone with anybody, and that. I'm saying I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have gone in there and worked with a luchador or somebody with a different style and had any idea what I was doing. But he was prepared, and he was really good in the ring. So underrated for sure. Always awesome match. One time he got me in a Boston Crab for a shoot, and I got to the ropes and he had to break it, and I just looked up at him and I said, don't do that. Don't get me in that. Don't do that. That hurt, and I can't get out of it. And I don't even know what we're doing right now. It hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings more than anything because what do I do? I don't know. You just lay there with your bent in half. You know what I mean?
You sound like my wife on my honeymoon. All right, let's go. It hurt, and I couldn't get out of it.
You on your
and I was bent in half, and I couldn't do anything about it. At the time, Smoky Mountain's running an angle between itself and the USWA in Memphis, baby. Mm-hmm. The long-standing ties with the USWA and the Jarrett family makes this natural feud for you to walk right into, right? I mean, this is it. The timing was just, it happened. It was coincidence.
Yeah.
But this is a good thing for you. You know both families. You're ready to go.
Well, creatively, it's awesome. And it's also in my wheelhouse because it's literally my house of family members. And so both have worked in both places throughout the years. It's a natural thing for me, and I don't have a job, so I can be the regular every week on TV if you need me. I think during this time, my dad and brothers were driving up there. I think I still lived in Memphis at the time. So I was, I was, because my wife used to drop me off at TV tapings in Memphis. And then awesome. I would have to ride with somebody else to Nashville that night because we tape on Saturday morning and then beg somebody to drop me off at my house. But that was good times, man.
what's you and Jeff's relationship at this point? This is August 95. Are you guys talking? What's going on here?
Oh yeah. So and this is another thing that I also don't understand things going around me when I was in this period of time. Like, where was Jeff at during this period of time is my question. Because look, Jeff and I's relationship never wavered one way or the other. What happened was we were distant, and that's what happens a lot in this business. Is you become friends with somebody, and then you and that guy don't work together for a while. It's that old friend from high school that you may not stay in touch with, but you see him and you go, "Dang, man," and everything's just good, and so. That's how me and Jeff have always been, but I just wasn't for sure where he was at this time. This may be when I figured out, like, hey, did he go to WCW? And I'm
back here in Memphis.
and so that was about, but still, even still, like I never, because look, that was my decision. I made a decision. Now I got to live with the consequences. And that was, and he told me when I was making the decision, Brian, you don't have to do this. Like he's laying flat of his back in Nashville Coliseum and looks up at me and says, Brian, you don't have to do this. And that's a true story. And so he knew that I was making a mistake, but he let me make it. And I appreciate that. And I don't mean that sarcastically at all. I appreciate that.
I'll tell him you did. I'll tell him you meant it sarcastically.
It was a value. I know you will. I appreciate that, man. That's the way I learned stuff. And I learned a valuable lesson about this industry that both Jeff and my father both tried to tell me. Like, hey, that kind of loyalty is not good for you individually in this business. And so it's a hurtful lesson where you go like, ow, that hurts. Why can't we all be friends? But that's not the way the beast brawls. You know what I mean? You gotta go with the punches.
I don't know this, so this is just me playing psychologist a little bit. And you hear about it with coaches and other athletes where they go, hey, I got to deal with this guy. He likes to be chewed out, and this guy, you got to coddle him.
Yeah.
Was that you at the time, maybe, of you're not listening to advice? You're just the guy that needs to – you need to fail and go, hey, man, that was a bad choice, and I know that going on.
Yeah, 100% I had to. And that's what I took away from it. I didn't take away from it. Well, dang, Jeff.
He should have saved me.
You know what I mean? Like, what was Jeff at? What did Jeff have to do with this? Right. And that's when you got to look at yourself and go, hey, everybody told me not to do this. Or my father, didn't know I was going to, so he post act told me about it. But they tried to help me, and I didn't listen. Look, I told the same stories in the past about Undertaker and Jim Ross and people trying to help me, and me bucking the system and yelling at them and telling them they don't know me and telling them, it was me being stupid and high and egotistical and all of the above, all negative character traits, but you have to identify them before you can remove them. So I had to go through all that to get to where I'm at. Jeff had no part. He played no part in the business decisions that I made.
Your brother is with Smoky Mountain, as we mentioned. Your dad is as well. So this had to be super cool and comforting to go, hey, I'm walking into a place where I can immediately fit in.
Well, and I can immediately am comfortable too, because look, I don't know how much I talk about it on here, but I know I got anxiety, and I've had anxiety for a long time, and I dealt, one way to deal with anxiety is just get hammered and find oblivion, and you don't worry about anything then. And so that was the 90s. And so then what I do now is I try to not alter my mind and keep focused on everything except the conversation that we're having right now, because I forgot where I was at.
We're talking about how comfortable you were in the locker room.
I sure was.
With your family. The question is, when you put on your tight briefs, Road Dog.
Yep.
Are you comfortable, or is there a little too much hair down there?
Well, so last time I was wrestling and I got somebody in a headlock or a leg scissor, excuse me. It looked like I had buckwheat in a head scissors, but the guy was bald that I was doing it to. So,
well, it was me. I must not have remembered that, but thankfully for you, since then you have found our friends
Manscaped.
That's right.
Look at
This
there.
episode of Oh You Didn't Know is brought to you by our favorite producers of ball trimmers, Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming. They are leaving 2022 with brand new products. The Preserve, the Cologne, the Preserve Body Wash, and 2023 is the year to up your hygiene game and smell amazing. Dog, you've been there in the ring with a bunch of gentlemen. You've been in leg scissors. You've been in headlocks.
Yeah.
I bet it stinks.
For the most part, the gentlemen are pretty worried about themselves, and so they're taken care of.
Are they?
I have been on the south end of a northbound Rakishi. I
was going to ask who was kicking the most.
Yeah.
There you go.
No. Rakishi obviously had the promo code then because
Really?
clean as a whistle. Actually,
Nice.
a couple of times I said, could we get the stink face in tonight? Because it's like a breath of fresh air. But he obviously had the promo code to the Manscaped.
Give us somebody who was kicking a little bit more than they should. That's all right. Could have been an accident.
Yeah, a lot of people stink. I mean, that's
Give me one.
Well,
Give me
no,
one.
I'm not going to give you a
Give me
name.
one.
So can I say one thing that's weird and going to make people mad?
Okay.
A lot of the wrestlers from the UK.
Well, look, you're just stating fact. Well, you're stating your
I know,
experience.
but I feel bad because
You didn't stereotype them.
Did I? Didn't I?
What's your
Shall we?
experience?
Shall we? I don't know. I feel
Do they
bad
smell
that I
like
said
fish
that
and
now.
chips?
No, because if they did, I would lick them. Because I love fish and chips.
Did
but
you
in Germany,
call him a tartar sauce?
I do tartar sauce too. But in Germany is where I learned from Mick McMichael, the old wrestler / referee who was from Scotland, to put that vinegar and stuff on there. Oh, that malt vinegar.
Wait, not on your boys. You're talking about on your fish and chips.
Yeah.
Did they smell like they've had vinegar everywhere?
So that's how I feel though after I do the refresher. What was it called?
the preserver cologne and the body wash.
The preserver though.
You've got the toner.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And you got the reviver. How about
the
that?
reviver. That's what I do after I shower. I put the reviver on.
Well, here's the deal. Manscaped wants to help you not smell like an English wrestler.
Oh,
and with
come
this
on.
special offer, use the code DOGG for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Take the leap into your new year and join the 7 million men who already trust Manscaped. Those 7 million do not include UK wrestlers, apparently,
That's
according
not
to Dog.
true. See, you took something that I didn't want to say, and now you're making a big deal out of it. And look, it's true. It's damn true. But I don't want to hurt none of their feelings. I like them all.
It was just your personal experience. I've never smelled a stinky Englishman. You have.
But only in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're just walking around beefing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I want to make that clear. They ain't just beef Mexi melting all over the place. They're literally like working in the ring and sweating. So it's okay if you get put in the head scissors and you smell less than perfect. You're out there working hard against another man. Blue Chew
Beef
is gonna, or not,
Mexi melting.
I'm sorry, not Blue Chew.
Manscaped. We're
is
gonna get
love
there
this one.
right
He's gonna
now.
love this one.
Please don't beef Mexi melt in 2023. 2023 is on the way, and the last
Hey, can
thing
I tell
want...
you somebody that used to beef?
Oh, please.
Bless his heart, Scott.
Come
Hall.
on. Really?
Yep.
All the time?
No, not all the time. When he would work and after we work, you know what I mean? It would just be like, and he knew it, and he would go like, God, I got to get in the shower. Like
Okay.
And so it wasn't, but it was. I just wanted.
The
to
worst
throw
is the guys that don't know it. That's the worst. And you go, guys, we got to tell them. We got to figure out how to tell
I know.
them.
Well, that's because honestly, like if you were my friend and I had a big booger hanging out of my nose, dude, you better tell me I got a booger hanging out of my nose.
Yeah.
And so just please care about me that much. Same exact metaphor goes work.
When I saw you at Starrcade, you were like, dog, you're fat. And I was
Yeah.
like, I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm glad you told me. I didn't know till you told me.
That's not true. That's not true. I did not say that. I probably said you put on some weight. Or...
Here's the deal. Right now,
Can I say something real quick?
Yes,
No, go ahead.
all
No, go
the
ahead.
time. No.
Go ahead, please. I'll get back to it. We got to get Manscaped.
2023 is on the way, and the last thing you want to be is the guy with pubes getting in your way of making it your best yet. The Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 is the leader of the Performance Package 4.0, or as I call it, the perfect package form of package. Right?
Far from perfect, but we'll do it.
Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. This new year, shave the loose pines off your wood with the best tool for the job. The signature Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped is here to take down every pube in its path. Having trouble dealing with the wild weeds in your nose and ears? Manscaped has you covered. Their Weed Whacker will change the game for you to whack your worst weeds. I'll tell you right now, the Weed Whacker has literally changed my life. I didn't know I had an ear problem. I had an ear how problem until I got the Weed Whacker and run it up in there and was like, my gosh, this thing's about to run out of battery just clearing out my ears.
It does sound like you're landscaping when you're doing it. Like it is. Look, I've been traveling a lot lately, and a lot, and this thing goes with me everywhere. The Weed Whacker, the Weed Whacker, and the lawnmower. Is that what the other one? Yeah, the lawnmower. Yeah. Because, dude, I trim everything with it, and I don't want to smell, so I clean myself and use this stuff. I don't want to sound all crazy, but like I do use it, and they are awesome. And I've said this before, but what I love about the Weed Whacker is like it feels like it's a deadgum, like you could pull a pin and throw it and it would blow up or something. Like it's a military device. Like it's totally you could kill somebody with that thing.
It's ready to go.
I don't recommend that. But if somebody breaks into my hotel room while I'm cleaning my nose out, they're getting the eye socket full of Weed Whacker.
Best as you can hear when it gets a hold of a hair.
Oh, yeah.
It'll go, and it'll get on it, son.
It will. It does exactly. That's a very good rendition, actually, because that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
And you're like, man, I can hear now. I can hear.
It's like I lost 20 pounds.
Yeah. I think confidence is going to be the king in 2023, and you know what else I'm confident about? Smelling like $1 million instead of a UK wrestler. You ask, and Manscaped, yeah, you can woo.
Okay.
Woo! You ask, and Manscaped answered, introducing the brand new Manscaped Preserve Body Wash and Preserve Cologne. Talk about being clean and feeling and smelling good. The new Preserve Body Wash.
I love this picture too. I hope everybody's watching. It's a beautiful picture of me. I kind of work with the background color wise.
You got that travel bag, dog?
I do have that travel bag.
Looks good, my man.
And it does look good, and it fits in my bag perfectly, and all of that stuff fits right in it. So this is a purchase. If you're a grown man, this is a purchase that's not just a purchase. This is an investment.
The new Preserve Body Wash and Manscaped solves all three for the perfect addition for your daily grooming routine. But in the shower, this body wash has a light woodsy scent and is infused with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean, nice, and moisturized. And the new Preserve Cologne is like the body wash, but with a light woodsy scent that answers the call of the wild by leaving you smelling like a man forged from earth. It's also cruelty-free, dye-free, paraben-free, and vegan, so you know you're in the right hands while smelling right. Use the code DOGG for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. 2023 is on its way. The woods are here and smelling amazing. And if you're ready to jump in and join us with Manscaped, get 20% off and free shipping with the code what? What's the code?
DOGG.
Yep, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code DOGG. Happy New Year's to your balls.
Happy New Year's and wait, was that on the read too? Happy New Year's to your balls. Well, good.
Happy New Year's to your balls.
I'll just say to you and yours.
To you and yours, my friend.
That makes sense.
All right, if
that
you
was
want
a
to
good read. Hey, that you know. Look, I get the sweating when I talk.
We're telling the truth, though.
Manscaping.
That's why we got excited about it.
The truth. It is 100% the truth, and that's if that don't sell it for you, I don't know what you need.
Look at this.
Yeah, look at there.
Your balls will thank you.
That's what it says right on there.
Yeah, that's my package. My package just came. Look at that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Look, I'm ready to go. When you see me next, I'm going to be toned, preserved,
Yeah.
smelling good, the whole deal.
We call it toned and boned. I don't think we call it that. I just made that up. I probably shouldn't even have said it, but it just came out.
If you love this show, use the hashtag toned and boned, or you can use the hashtag Corny Dog to interact with us and let us know what you think about this.
Let's leave that up to them. Which hashtag do you like better?
Up to them.
Hashtag Corny Dog? What was the other one?
Toned and boned.
Toned and boned.
Toned and boned. All right, let's get back into this.
America, I know what they're going to choose.
What are they going to choose?
They're a nasty gaggle.
Our listeners are going to choose toned and boned.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
That's a fact. All right, from the Observer, it says, the biggest thing on the television show was an interview with Bob Armstrong attempting to logically explain the SMW wrestlers being heels at the USWA shows. Armstrong claimed the whole thing started when a few USWA wrestlers, PG-13, appeared on SMW shows and became disruptive influences and disrupted television tapings. Armstrong said how when the SMW wrestlers went to USWA, they were treated shabbily and got raw deals and were the victim of biased hometown officiating.
Yeah.
He showed a tape of the match where Billy Jack Haynes regained the USWA title from Brad Armstrong in Memphis, which was heavily edited, and claimed USWA sent him the tape edited, inferring that a lot of underhanded tactics were used
from the officials.
Yep, and
That's
erased
what he
from
meant
the
by
tape.
the underhanded local underhanded officiating.
He said that he's instructed the SMW wrestlers to fight fire with fire. I mean, he is the fighting fireman.
Yep.
And wrestle as dirty as they've been treated when they're in the USWA. And even they're in SMW against USWA wrestlers, and said that he has been forced to consider the USWA as a enemy promotion. Your dad is great right here, right,
Enemy
dog?
of the state. They have been declared an enemy. Yes, it's all, he was totally in heel character, and he's
selling this fantastic.
Yeah, this was actually really fun and a really good deal to be involved in. So I loved it. And I thought it was, just you reading it took me back to, I hear where he's going, and he's laying it on thick. You know what I mean?
It's heavily edited, but they did that.
They
not
did that.
us.
Yeah, that was they sent
took
it
out
to
all the
us.
shady stuff. Yeah. As we continue in the USWA, the SMW feud continues to be phased down as nobody from SMW was on the show this week. The big push this week was for Brian James, a.k.a. Rhodey, who changed his name again this week to Jesse James Armstrong.
Yeah.
On his debut last week, they never acknowledged him as the Rhodey, but this week, Jerry Lawler did an interview calling him the Rhodey and acknowledged his WWF past. Armstrong said there was nobody in USWA or WWF who was good enough to beat him, and ended up getting into an argument with Lawler on television. This set up a singles match where Brian Lee interfered for the DQ and pile drove Lawler.
Yes.
Later in the show, Lawler said he had a lot of friends in the WWF, and he called them up and said the WWF said he could pick anyone in the promotion to be his partner, and he said he wanted the toughest guy, so he picked Sid Vicious.
Oh.
Anyway, Lawler and Sid lost via DQ on the 9-4 show. What a great line from the Observer. Anyway, they lost. Dog,
I don't remember working with Sid ever.
Brian Lee interfered. Yeah, I mean,
I guess we did.
Lawler got pile drove, the whole deal. You're getting to work with the King of Memphis, standing in a professional wrestling ring in Memphis, across from Jerry Lawler, live on television.
Oh, yeah.
This is an incredible big deal for you, right?
For me, 100%. Now,
for anybody.
I agree.
Yeah.
But for me, especially because I knew the gravity of Lawler in Memphis, just like a Jarrett in Memphis, just like a Fuller in, you know what I mean? Like there were just like Dundee, just like there are some stalwarts in Memphis that were there and that were always there and could always come back and get a huge pop. But King was that. It was just that. King was the king of Memphis. And so, yeah, it was a huge deal. Now look, granted, I still was in the old not appreciating where I was and what I had. And at the same time, talk about a pay cut. Going from being the roadie and working at WrestleManias to working in that. So this is just reality talking and not, I guess it's fantasy or whatever, or lore or whatever that is that. Oh my Lord, he was in the ring with Jerry Lawler in Memphis. Yes, there is something to that. But I had a baby on the way, and I was making $300 a week. You know what I mean? Like it was not the ideal life moment that you exactly expect it to be. But in retrospect, you definitely can go, wow, big moment, cool moment, and was a great way to start my run there with USWA. You know.
You mentioned you don't really remember tagging with Brian Lee, and you worked with Sid and Lawler, but just overall in general, what's your thoughts on working with Sid throughout your career?
Well, so Sid and I got into an argument one time, and it was over downtown Bruno because he loved downtown Bruno. And look, I was a young smart mouth kid, and I said something, and I don't remember what it was, but he got pissed, and I said I'm sorry. So that was the only thing ever that we've seen each other since then. Everything's fine. Like I got no problem with him. I didn't work with him a ton, so I wasn't. And when I did, I was. Not here, I wasn't. But when I worked with him at the WWE, it was almost like, he was a bigger draw and a bigger attraction. But I was with Jeff, and so we were the cool attraction too. So I almost felt like, well, me and him are equals. You know what I mean? Right. Like and so I didn't. But we didn't talk a whole bunch. We didn't work together, so we didn't spend a lot of time together. Look, he's a kind of dude like me. He likes to hang to himself or hang to people he knows and do his own thing and don't get in my way, and everything will be fine. And the one day I got in his way, obviously. I said something about his buddy. And I wasn't talking bad about Bruno. I was saying something to Bruno that obviously Sid didn't like. And so he stepped up for his friend, and rightfully so. So, I didn't work with him a ton. So I don't know how he got when you go to put a match together. Is he very protective of his character? Is he very, you know what I mean? Like, is he what people would call difficult to work with? I wouldn't know that because I never had the opportunity. But man, what a big, huge, scary dude. Like in real life and on camera and everything. Like what a real life monster of a man who's not that way at all in real life. You know what I mean? And I love watching him just waffle a softball. It's always good to see a big, it's always good to see a big dude just drive a ball 400 yards.
Did you ever talk to Lawler at this time about walking out on WWF?
No, Lawler knew I was a friggin' idiot. You know, it wasn't long after this I missed a show and showed up with a tattoo on my head on TV, and he was like, "Yeah, you were sick, huh?" And so it was, you know what I mean. Lawler knew where to stand, and look, he also knew, in his defense, he also knew. He's fresh off of their TV. We can use him and beat him a couple times. With, I can work with him. We can do that. We can, Brian, his son, could work with me. So it's a
gives
smart
them
business.
Credibility.
Yeah, it's a smart business move too for them. I always loved working there with those guys.
You go super heel on USWA TV and you call Dave Brown Murphy Brown and push down announcer Corey Macklin.
Corey Macklin said had a great voice for wrestling, but sometimes he talk like this.
Was this the strongest heel you had been to this point? This is a good heel for you, right?
Yeah. Well, this was also fun for me. You know what I mean? Like this was I got to step out of the limelight of Jeff and just stand on my own. So it was scary, but it was also like, okay, this is what I'm going to do if I'm a heel. And I was still finding my way around promos and still working on honing my craft and also honing who I was or who I thought I was or who I was going to pretend to be. But this was pivotal time in that process for me professionally. So like if you want to watch anything that was very crucial to my time as a wrestler at all, you'd watch the USWA stuff because it just gave me an opportunity to be my own person, and some of it worked and some of it did not. But it's fun watching someone growing and trying and trying as hard as they can to be something, you know what I mean? And not knowing what that something was just yet.
Can you explain to our listeners, maybe they're younger, maybe they were from a different area at the time and haven't seen a lot of Memphis wrestling, how important were the likes of Dave Brown and Lance Russell to Memphis wrestling?
Yeah. So they were the storytellers. I mean, they were for local wrestling. And look, hey, I didn't even live there. I never seen Memphis wrestling, and I'm not even kidding, because this was so old that in Florida I couldn't see Memphis wrestling at the time. We didn't have this wonderful thing called the world. But it was so I never saw, but I know the type because my dad was in Continental, and it's the same thing. Whoever is your announcer on that Continental is your friend. And this is so this in USWA, Dave Brown and what was the other guy's name? Lance Russell. I'm sorry, dang, how did I forget Lance Russell? He's the one. Downtown Dave Brown is good too, but Lance is the guy. Those are my friends, and they give me my information. They tell me the story and tell me what I'm supposed to think every week on TV, because they're local celebrities, and I care what they think, and I agree with them most of the time. You know what I mean? And so, man, it's heartfelt, it's connection, it's connectivity to the product. It's they are the backbone. Then what you got to do is just put some interesting stories and some good wrestling together, and you got yourself a television show.
In one of the last matches Lawler would headline before focusing fully on WWF run, he defeats you in the main event on September 11th for 1,080 fans, and somehow the announcers get involved when Brandon Baxter tries to help, but Corey Macklin made the save for Lawler. This has got to be a fun feather in your cap right here.
For Lawler. Well, speaking of feathers, you can see the picture there. Brandon Baxter doesn't have any hair anymore, but it was definitely feathered then. And I don't know what was going on with me. I should have been canceled for just looking like that. But that's how I looked, and it was a long time ago. But look, Brandon Baxter. Yeah, they were tight too. Look, it's a great time in my career. I loved working with Brandon. Brandon's doing great for himself too, and does a radio deal over in Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas, I believe. But yeah, he's doing well, and I had a great time doing that stuff. But you see, so where was that at? Did it say where that match was?
It did not. Maybe
1,000 people, and this was. So I worked a couple of times in the Mid-South Coliseum before it closed. And so that was a big deal to me, and I'm wondering if this wasn't one of them, because 1,000 seats, a big arena for Memphis. Yeah, because they would do Jonesboro, Arkansas. They would do little towns with an armory or something, you know what I mean, and have 400, 500 people max. And so 1,000 people was a good house. It must have been somewhere decent.
And it feels like Smoky Mountain aspect of the feud has been scaled way back, as it's barely mentioned. Was it because, do you remember, I know this was a Smoky time in your time as well, was it because Smoky Mountain was having issues? Are you aware of that? Are you aware of what's going on here? Or are you just focused on you?
I wasn't aware of it at the time, but, what I do remember was they were about to go out of business. And I don't know if we were the last ditch effort, or if there was a business deal possibly going through, a merger or something, a buyout. So I don't really know what was going down, but looking back at it, it seems like, they were definitely in a tailspin.
You did hear whispers.
Yes, for sure. Lord Varish told me whispers.
Littlefinger was all up in your ear.
Yes, my lady.
On the 9/18 show, even though they had 2 loser leaves town matches on top, the show only drew 950. Brian Christopher and Sid Vicious beat Billy Jack Haynes and Jesse James Armstrong on top when Christopher pinned Haynes. Good thing Billy Jack took the pin, right? Do you have any good Billy Jack stories?
I'm going to be honest, man. I don't even remember working with him.
That's fine.
I really don't, dude. I didn't.
You were
you're
Smoky
saying
Mountain
something.
Wrestling.
I was definitely smoking Mountain Wrestling. But that's the truth, man.
If you don't have a good story, you don't have one on somebody.
I don't know. I'm trying to think about actually wrestling the dude. Not only do I not have a story, I don't remember getting in the ring with the guy.
Well, how about this? You then win the USWA title from Brian Christopher on a live TV show with the help from Brandon Baxter. Dog, who the hell was Brandon Baxter?
He was just a
You talked about he had feathered hair, but
Yeah. Look, that was him, and he could take bumps, and was a decent talker, and so he was a local guy that was a manager, and like he was a good manager, and they thought like put this little package together, and you can have a heel, and you can cheat every time with the little guy that you can beat up to. You know what I mean? Like it was a good deal to have as a champion, to have this little heater that can also take some bumps, and I can scoot out of town. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a good little deal, and this kid was a good kid for the package, for the deal.
do you remember, was it a big deal for you to win that title? And
It was to me for real, but I didn't show it because I didn't want to seem like I was a mark. But the truth of it is I was a mark, and I still am. And when I won that title, it meant a lot to me. And
how big of a deal was it to win it from Brian? I mean, Brian.
Well, look, it was,
time,
and he was in Memphis, and he was on top of the world too, and he was inches from a WWE contract. You know what I mean? And so, look, it was when King went on, Brian was the babyface, and so what do you do? Okay, let's put this heel on top, this new heel that still has a little bit of he got beat a couple times when he came in by big top stars and Sid Vicious and everything, but. So I still had a little bit of steam. So I think creatively in business, from a business standpoint, it was a good decision to put the title on me and put Brandon with me as a little, heat seeker. And together we would have a little decent run. And Brian and I actually remember this. Brian and I actually drew money around the loop working for the title. And that was the first time, this is why it meant something to me. That was the first time I'd ever in my life even thought of the aspect of, oh, my match and me being on top is actually helping people buy, pushing people to buy
directly
tickets.
Proportional to your paycheck.
It's and that was, look, it's on a very small scale. I'm not saying that I, outdrew Elvis in Columbus. I'm just saying we drew money.
Yeah.
In retrospect to the last tour, you know what I mean? The last couple of months we've been going through these towns. Now we're in this storyline on TV and we're sinking our teeth into it, and the towns are getting better. You know what I mean? And so it's the first time in my career that I understood and it mattered to me that, oh man, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But at the time, it was a lot of responsibility, and I don't think I was ready personally for that responsibility. Professionally, like I said, I think it was a good move, but personally, I just wasn't ready to be the guy.
From the Observer, 10/23/95, after drawing the smallest crowd of the year at the Mid-South Coliseum on 10/9.
Was that the 1,000-seater?
Nope. Mid-South Coliseum might have been, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because they closed. I mean, it closed. I worked there
shortly after,
2 or 3 times, and we never went back. And so that was.
You had 600 fans and a gate of $4,400. It was back to reviving the interpromotional feud that did the big business over the summer, as Bob Armstrong, Jim Cornette, and the Heavenly Bodies were all at the 10/14 television show, and Billy Jack Haynes, who Road Dogg does not remember, returned and immediately turned babyface. Much of this revolved around the storyline from the 10/9 main event, with Brian Christopher and Miss Texas versus Jesse James Armstrong and Brandon Baxter in a hospital elimination match. Even though the faces won, Texas did a major juice job and was savagely beaten in the match. First of all, how good was Jackie? She's incredible.
Incredible. What an
Miss Texas had to bleed.
Human.
Wrestling's a lot different back in 95, but she was incredible.
Yep, and so she had never gotten color, so they asked me to cut her. That's something that I don't tell everybody, but I just did. But like, it was a weird thing for me. I'd only done it a couple of times, and so I was like, "You want me to do it?" I was like, "I don't."
So you had to cut her. She didn't blade herself.
I don't know. I'm not sure that it was this match, because what I remember, it was a first blood match with Luna. And I went down and did it when they bumped the referee. I went down.
So maybe you did that to prepare for this one, maybe.
Yeah, maybe she did, because she got it this time.
Wow. Do you know how the SMW USAW deal comes back together? Were you involved in any of that, or were you just focused on yourself?
I was not. And look, truth be told, my dad probably wasn't even that mixed up in it either.
Okay.
I'm sure it was like Dad showed up and just did what they had for him, and what dad was the kind of guy. And look, by example, that's who I watched. Right, when Dad in this business, when Dad showed up and they had something for him, he'd go, "Okay, yep, I got it," and he would have it, but he would have it in his own way, and he would perform
Put
it
his
great.
own spin on
you know
it
what I
to get
mean?
the
Yeah, he
storyline
would do it
across,
great,
yeah.
and everybody'd be happy as pigs and poop, and so that's what I did. Like that's why I never like looked at something but once in my life and went, I'm not doing this. This is great. This ain't me. Because I just couldn't even see myself doing that, acting that way. But it was, I don't know. You get your words, and so that's probably what I know is what I was doing. Yeah. I'm just thinking it's what Dad was doing at the time too. He had already had his run of running a company and owning part of it and doing all that. This was him just getting a payday and working with his boys and having fun.
Back to the Observer, Randy Hales did an interview saying that he and Eddie Marlin decided that after what Armstrong and Baxter had done, they were leveling the biggest fine in the history of the USWA. No amount was ever mentioned, letting your imagination run wild on both of them. Armstrong and Baxter started arguing, with Armstrong saying that the USWA belt doesn't pay enough money to afford to pay such a big fine.
Whoa. He was right, though. I mean, if it was a big fine, I wouldn't have been able to pay for it. Like it was definitely tuna and ragweed at this time. Is how we were living.
They continue in another interview segment later in the show. Armstrong and Baxter confronted Hales, who told them they had two choices: either pay the fine or hit the road. Bob
hit
Armstrong.
The road, Jack. Don't come back no more. No. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you
come back no more.
What you say?
Bob Armstrong then came out as heel SMW commissioner and said how USWA was mistreating his son.
Yes.
Like they mistreated his wrestlers. And Bob said that Hales realized that nobody in the territory could beat his son, so they came up with this fine to get him to leave town, and they could get their title back. He mentioned how his son...
Good.
By the way, that's you.
He should have been a lawyer, like a
He's
Southern
working
lawyer.
hard for you right here.
I see.
He mentioned how his son was a hero in the Persian Gulf War and should be treated with more respect. Hales told Bob to leave and said he'd have him thrown out physically. And Bob said that he knew Hales wasn't going to be the one to throw him out. And Christopher, that sounds like a Bob line, by the way.
Yeah.
Christopher then came out and called the Armstrong family trash.
What?
And Jesse James and Bob attacked Christopher in a wild brawl, which saw Christopher hit Bob with a chair. And finally, Doug Gilbert came out to even the odds. Holy crap, dog. Your dad's getting hit with a chair.
I don't know.
You're tough old son of a gun, isn't he, man?
Yes, he is. Yes, he was. That's for sure. But I probably, and I don't know this for a fact, I probably beat the crap out of both Doug and Brian during this fight. This was a time where I was young and hungry, and I liked it rough, and so when we got in this fight here, I can imagine both of them going to the back and going, Jim, Christmas, this new guy's beating the crap out of us. Because they would come back with it every now and then, and I'd think, I must have got him with that one.
Yeah, that was for earlier.
Yeah.
Later in the show, Armstrong defended the USWA belt against Gilbert. Both Bob and Steve Armstrong attacked Gilbert. Mm-hmm. Then the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette joined in.
Yep.
While this was going on, Brandon Baxter and Miss Texas were brawling again. Stephen Dunn and Axel Rotten then held the dressing room door until finally PG-13 broke through and went after the bodies. Finally, Haynes hit the ring like he was going to join the Hills, but instead he cleared house for the Faces. The show ended with Hales refusing to drop the fight on Armstrong and Baxter, so Bob ended up punching Hales just as the show went off. This fine gimmick, is this classic Cornette?
Yes, totally classic Cornette. Look, even you reading it sounds friggin' awesome.
It sounds awesome. It sounds.
I don't know if anybody else thought so, but
incredible.
It just sounds incredible. I so want to go find that and watch that end of that show. You know what I mean? With Billy Jack coming in there, and you're thinking he's going to do one thing and he does the other. I don't know. I'm a fan.
It sounds chaos, but one of those where like every bit of it makes sense. You can see why they did every bit of it.
Why each beat made sense.
Yep.
I love it. And I defended the title
Come on,
successfully.
And you didn't pay the fine.
I don't have to. My daddy said I didn't have to.
That's it. On the 1021 television show, Bob Armstrong said that he wanted to end the promotional war and said he'd call it off if USWA met 4 conditions.
4 demands we had.
He wanted the fine lifted on his son, Jesse James Armstrong, because he said it was too much money and he didn't do anything wrong. He wanted Brian
Unfounded.
Christopher. Yeah, it is. He wanted Brian Christopher suspended for putting his hands on him last week on TV since he's an SMW official.
Maybe fired. I mean,
he wanted Corey Macklin and Dave Brown, who wasn't there because he was attending the funeral of a family member, but he wanted both of them to apologize for negative comments about himself and SMW. And 4th, he wanted Randy Hales to quit the USWA so the company would put somebody new in charge who could turn it into a successful operation. Later in the show, Hales came out and refused all 4 conditions.
We had a brainstorming session about 6 months leading up to those 4 demands. Yeah, it was really? tested in think tanks, the whole deal.
Really?
No.
You wrote it all out,
Nope,
the whole deal?
We didn't.
Okay. Armstrong and Hales started arguing with Armstrong poking Hales, and Hales saying that he'll go to his grave before anyone calls him a coward. Armstrong started... Don't call me a coward. Look at this.
Hey, yes, you will.
Armstrong started choking Hales when Eddie Marlin did a run-in chasing Armstrong off. Marlin said he'd been gone because his wife nearly died earlier this year, which was, by the way, true, and said she was sick. Hales would always come to the hospital whenever he had free time between running the company and said Hales is like a son to him, and he's done a great job running the company, but said after what happened last week, he had enough and was coming back to watch Barb Armstrong, Lord. And that he'd be in every city Barb Armstrong would be in. Later in the show, Armstrong did another interview talking about Hales calling him fat and out of shape and took his own shirt off to show how he kept himself in shape all these years, which one considers Bob Armstrong's age, he actually doesn't look physically that far off than what he looked 20 years ago, said the Observer. Yo, your dad didn't give a poop.
No,
at
but
this
that
time,
was
buddy.
the thing. Like, and that's what was really fun. Was he's good. He was really good at being a heel. He had a Continental heel run too, and it was either Southeastern Championship Wrestling or Continental. But I know that lives. Ron Fuller owns that library. That's out there somewhere of his heel run there. But he got to do that again here, and he really didn't give a crap then. You know what I mean? He really was just having fun. We weren't getting rich doing this by any means, but it was keeping me in a wrestling role, and I was continuing my education at this point. So he was helping me out a great deal too. But man, he's so quick and good. Like that, nobody probably fed him that. He probably just said, "You talked about me being out of shape. Nobody probably said that." You know what I mean? Like,
and he took his shirt off.
And he takes his shirt off because then he can have an excuse to take your shirt off and show you. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, "Look at this, Randy Hales," and Randy Hales definitely didn't look like that, and neither did Eddie Marlin.
By the way, speaking of Eddie Marlin, for those in the South, Barbara Armstrong and Eddie Marlin in a segment together is gold, my friend.
It is gold, and that's why they brought him back. They thought, man, we can draw, and these old guys won't ever touch each other.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And so yeah, it was a good thing.
You're also building to a couple different matches. Brian Christopher puts his hair up against you in a USWA title match in Memphis and gets the win. But just 5 days later, you team with Tracy Smothers to defeat PG-13 to win the tag titles. There's a lot of names to discuss. We've talked about it a little bit before. First off, everyone has a Tracy Smothers story. Give us one right now. Look at that shot. I mean, there's icons in that shot.
Hey,
right there.
so, I mean, the truth be told, that is a great picture. It's me doing a side chest pose. I must have been on steroids.
Flexing.
I thought I was muscular at one point. I was wrong. But Tracy, Lance Russell, downtown Bruno, that is a good picture if you're watching.
Man.
But yeah, Tracy Smothers, I don't have a Tracy Smothers story. I have a Tracy Smothers decade. You know what I mean? Like I have a Tracy Smothers 2 decades, 3 decades. But this was the first time Tracy and I got to tag. And so I got to look. I'd known Tracy for 15 years already. Now we got to tag and literally make towns together and drive to these towns together, and that's when you really get to know somebody. That's when I really fell in love with Tracy Smothers, and I would pray that he felt the same way. But what a great guy, and so here's my one funny thing that I still do to this day that Tracy Smothers would do to me every time we were driving. We'd be driving. Well, two things about his driving. We'd be driving. This is one. We'd be driving. There's a bunch of cows over there, and he would just go, "Hey, look, there's your family." And I don't know why. Why that's funny or why it even means anything or matters.
So good.
But it was so good, and I would laugh. Another thing, he would see a house, like a big nice house up on a hill, and he'd say, "See that guy right there? He don't give a crap if we draw tonight."
And he was right.
He was right. And, you know what I mean? And it was just, he would just say little things like that I loved, little Tracy-isms. And then the other thing, when he drove and he got told to get to telling a story, if the car didn't have cruise control, there was no telling what speed you'd be going.
Flying?
It could be 108 or 8. And it would be either
Just
one.
depending
like,
on
you
the
would just
story.
go, like, "Whoa, are we going 40 miles an hour now, Tracy? Please put the cruise on, dude. Just and talk away."
And buddy.
But yeah, so look, but I loved him. First, look, shoot story. My dad was booking a territory, and they brought in a wrestling bear, and Tracy said, "I'll wrestle the bear." And Tracy wrestled the bear around the loop. They were going to do it another week, and the guy came to my dad and said, "Will you please tell Tracy to lighten up on the bear?" Like, that's a true story. That like the bear's having fun, and Tracy's trying to pin the thing. And so,
I've heard him talk about the bear before. Luckily, he was here one time when he was telling that story, and same deal. He was like, "Hey, I was wrestling a damn bear. I gotta go over. I can't take it easy on the bear. He ain't taking it easy on me."
We're too close to wherever I'm from. But yeah, that's look. Tracy used to be the guy that would fly off the handle and like get mad, and people knew him for that for a long time. But this is the time where he was more mature, and I was young and dumb and mad at the world, and I wanted to be real in there. I was fighting people, you know what I mean? Like, I was not punching them in the face or kicking them as hard as I could, but I would lay my stuff in, man, and it was just going to be like that. And I was okay if you gave it back to me that way. I was fine with that. Like I said, I was young and dumb. But like some of the people I got in there with, the Lawlers, the Dundees, like people would. I would hit them with some things, and all of a sudden, like a Bill Dundee would get my attention quick with a jab, like right to the face. You know what I mean? Like light me up, like bow,
go,
like with a good one, and you go like, "My bad, I got you. That's my bad."
We've drawn the line.
Yeah. And you slow down, and it almost made me feel like, "Oh, were you a bully? Were you being a bully?" Like, the guy had to call you out. And it's like, no, it wasn't a bully. I just worked very aggressive, and I didn't mind getting hit like that, and I just didn't know yet that it doesn't have to be that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's actually better if we do it a little lighter to each other. It actually looks better. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt as much, and we can sell it better. So don't hit me so hard, kid. That was the quick left jab that I received from both Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler, reminding me that, "Hey, kid, this is fake." I had to really punch you in the face to remind you this was fake.
What's also great about Smothers is he can get instant heat exactly when he wants.
Yeah,
everybody dies. He's going to come out and everybody dies, my friend. Such a great guy.
It became such a caricature of him in a good way. Like, it was good, though. It wasn't like that's his shtick he does. It, like, you loved it.
We wanted him to do it.
Yes, of course.
You want him to do it.
Yes, please hit me with the stuff. The thugs, because the thug can't spell.
Also,
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a thug can't spell.
So good. So good.
What in the world? That's great to me.
Also, while we're here, you won the titles from PG-13. Let's talk a little bit about PG-13. And
Bless their hearts.
Oh, come on. Look at these guys.
No, I mean, when I mean bless their hearts,
Look
I mean
at
because
'em.
they had to work with me and Tracy.
Look at these guys. Come on now.
Hey, they were over like Rover
Yeah.
in Memphis, man. And I'm telling you, it was a great tag team run. Like we did well in that run, and we held the titles for a while. But we worked with them guys for a long time. There was one point in this run where both Wolfie and Jamie both had two black eyes.
Really?
And it was Jamie's one that'll stand
Is
up.
that
and
of you
stick
going,
too.
hey, I'm working a little stiff?
Yeah. Well, Tracy too. Like we were all young and we were doing what we loved to do and we were having fun doing it. Were we getting rich or drawing $1 million? Heck no. But it was so much fun and you're doing it with your friends and it's the only way you can do it. Making $300 a week, driving 6 hours one way for one of the towns, and so you gotta hook up with some people, split the gas, don't get a hotel nowhere, drive back all the way because you can't afford a hotel. It's starving artist type stuff, but you do it because it's your passion and the people you're around, it's their passion too. And so you have that in common and it brings you much tighter together than if you got rich with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got rich with Billy and me and him never saw hard times together. I was broke as hell with Wolfie D and Jamie Dundee, but they were there when my kid was born. You know what I mean? Like They were, I'm still good friends with both of them today because we forged a relationship throughout this simply off of our love of the industry,
By the way, Dog, you know what's not PG-13?
What?
That's a long winter's holiday night with our friends, Blue Chew.
And winter's coming.
Which one of us is winter?
Oh, look
The
at this!
breeze isn't the only thing that's getting stiff right now. That's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew, guys. We all know that confidence can take you far in life. That's especially true in the bedroom, especially when it's time to step up to the plate. And that's where our friends Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night. Get in the groove, Dog. I'm with you. Yeah. So you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises.
Blue Chew.
I don't call mine opportunity. Do you call yours?
I
anything?
do. Mine's name is Mr. Opportunity.
Mr. Opportunity. Well, and when it's
What
time
I mean
to
by
arise,
that is my dog, Pitbull, my Pitbull.
oh, when it's time to arise, call our friends at Blue Chew. The process is simple.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, all you gotta do is sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you're gonna receive your prescription within days.
Blue Chew.
The best part, it's all done online, so no visit to the doctor's office, no awkward
Promo
conversations.
Code DOG.
Yeah, that's right. No waiting in the line at the pharmacy, Dog.
$5 shipping.
You're from a smaller town in Florida. The last thing you want to do is be picking up some kind of pills in
Everybody
front of...
knows my trash.
Exactly. And you don't want to be standing in line at the pharmacy with them calling out your prescription.
Awkward moments.
So go to BlueChew.com. Made in the USA, prepared and shipped direct to your door in the last discreet package you will see, my friend.
Blue Chew.
It's time to get off the couch.
I'm gonna have to have you bring that music up next time, Marcus, just so I can get the feel.
Can you hear it? Come on.
Vibe.
Oh, can you hear that? No.
Blue Chew. This is definitely some.
Yeah.
Blue Chew.
Have you ever had a Blue Chew?
Blue Chew. Promo Dog.
Blue Chew can help you give the confidence. Starting over. I like
Came
that
back
drum
again.
hit.
Yeah.
So that's right. With Blue Chew, my friends, you ever had that evening with your wife where she goes, "What's got into you?" That means you've took a Blue Chew, my friend. That means you've took a Blue Chew, my friend. So if you can benefit from extra confidence when it's time to
you.
chew it and do it, have better sex.
Do it.
And we've got a special deal for our listeners.
Nothing to it.
No. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code what?
DOG.
Yeah, and you just pay
and that's
$5
me.
shipping.
$5 shipping, first month free.
BlueChew.com.
Come on.
Promo code DOGG
Blue
to receive your
Chew.
first month free. Visit
Promo code
BlueChew.com
DOG.
for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew
Thank
for
you, Blue
sponsoring
Chew.
the podcast and making our life
She
in the
thanks you,
bedroom
too.
much better. Yeah, we ain't the only ones thanking them. Our
Oh,
wives
you
are
didn't
thanking
know?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Oh, you
Cool.
didn't
That
know.
felt good. Just for a moment. Now we're back to reality.
So, you and Tracy Smothers attack Brian Christopher when he's taking on Razor Ramon.
What?
Your old opponent, Scott Hall, which you mentioned earlier, kind of stunk every now and then. Smelled like a beef Mexican melt.
I feel like, I wish I could take those back.
Seriously, though, how good was it to see Scott down in Memphis?
Oh, great. Like, look, it's always great to see Scott. And it was because I never knew Scott before I became the roadie, and then I worked with him every night for 6 months. And so you get to know a guy really well, and you get to know his mannerisms and him, and like that. That's how Scott and I's relationship was forged also. We were making kind of crappy money, to tell you the truth, at the time, doing some 2-a-days and tent shows and stuff like that in the WWF at the time. So I got to know Scott real well. It was great to see him. It was, when you, and also selfishly, when you see somebody that comes down to do this or whatever, they're going to take back some information, some stories. And Scott was figured in all the time. So I thought, okay, so sorry, I got sidetracked, but I would say, he's going to take some stories back. I want to be good. I want him to say I was good. I want him to say I'm doing good, so it was great to see him.
Dog, it sounds like all this is starting to set up a tag match, but it doesn't ever seem to happen. Do you remember any talk of this? Of you and Scott or any Brian Christopher, Razor Ramon, any of that?
I don't remember any of that, but that would have been awesome if we could work with Brian and Scott against me and Tracy. Yeah,
incredible.
That would have been stinking killer. I don't know why. I don't know. Sometimes it could be like, oh, now Scott's in a story. He can't come down there no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it kind of worked that way back then.
Christopher defends his title in a coward waves the flag match against your dad and gets the win.
Oh.
While you team with the Smoky Mountain Surprise and lose to PG-13, this all smells like Jim Cornette.
Who is the Smoky Mountain Surprise? Does anybody? If we can
I was
find
waiting
a
on you to
picture.
tell me. I thought that was moonshine. I've had that before. Smoky Mountain Surprise. I've definitely had
You
that
had neither.
before.
Is that a true story?
I don't know. No. I don't know.
I don't doubt that a bit, but that's awesome. Smoky Mountain Surprise. It was just me and a glass jar full of shine.
It was your dad in a mask.
Okay.
I don't know who it is. Who's the Smoky Mountain Surprise?
I don't know who it is either. We're gonna find out. Though.
Somebody tweet us Corny Dog at Corny Dog hashtag Corny Dog DOGG, and let us know if somebody knows who the Smoky Mountain Surprise
Smoky
is.
Mountain. We had a guy, a big dude, that wrestled with us, and I thought his name was Smoky Mountain Massacre. But it could have been.
That's a killer name.
It could have been a surprise.
Maybe it was Corny in a mask.
Smoky Mountain Massacre was a big, huge dude that was just a fan, and we
Really?
Yeah, he got in the ring a few times, but he was so big we thought, like, man, we could do something here. But dude, it was
Bad. It was
horrible.
bad, wasn't it?
If you find the video of that match on Memphis Wrestling, he tripped and fell into the ropes, and he couldn't. He was horrible, and he was so big. Like if he fell on you, it hurt. Bless his heart. Bless his
big?
huge heart.
How big?
Oh, dude, he was 6'8", 400 pounds.
Oh.
Like no doubt. Like he was
Lord.
huge. He's a huge man. He was cornbread. You know what I mean?
It was Conrad in a mask.
Well, I didn't want
now-
to say anything.
Now we're going to get to some heat, dog. The 11-11 television was the best in a long time, says the Observer.
Yeah.
The main angle started with a tape from 11-4 in Nashville where Bob Armstrong was facing Eddie Marlin, Jeff Jarrett's grandfather. As Marlin gained the advantage, the SMW crew attacked him and he was locked in a figure 4 leg lock. Then they aired a clip from 11-10 in Crenshaw, Mississippi, starting with J.J. Armstrong making fun of Marlin because he was walking with a cane based on the Nashville angle. J.J. Armstrong then jumped Marlon and beat him up again and put him in the figure 4. Bob Armstrong did a phone interview, which they said was from the Bahamas, challenging the USWA to put up its promotion against SMW with his son.
Look, he
representing
used to travel
SMW.
a lot back and forth to
the Bahamas.
Yeah, to Key Bay, Key Biscayne.
He said he's putting you up against anyone the USWA can put up, saying you, Road Dogg, had already beaten everyone in the USWA.
Everybody.
And that he didn't think anyone would accept the challenge.
Nobody.
When are you told that Jeff is now going to come in?
Son of a biscuit eater. Today is when I just learned that. I do not remember this at all. And wow, what a great storyline this is.
Incredible.
This is good. This is basically us doing down here what we would not do at the WWF.
That's exactly what they wouldn't do. Yeah.
It's the same story. I mean, it's me versus Jeff. That's where we were going.
But
next.
you don't remember any early buzz about this? It just kind of happened.
No, I remember Jeff was. Yeah, I knew Jeff was coming in, and I knew. Yeah, he had already called me. Jeff himself called me and said, You think this is a good idea? You think this is cool? And that's okay. Look, that's Jeff respected me even back then. To call me and run it past me was a further step than you would do with another just guy on your roster. You know what I mean? Like if it was just another dude on the roster, Jeff may not have called the guy and said, "Hey, we're going to work together." You know what I mean? So it was always mutual respect with he and I, and I knew it, and I was excited about it.
Based on what
one because I was in my prime and I was ready to go, and I thought, man, we can have some good ones, and we did.
Now the story has always been that you two wanted to build a story around the breakup and all that. Is that right, or do you remember discussing that, or was it let's just start over and do something new?
Yeah. So for me, it was whatever y'all say to do. I have no idea what's going on right now. But I love it. I freaking love it. Anarchy. I just knew he was coming in, and I didn't know what the story was going to be because they would kind of tell you, hey, go out there and cut this promo, talk about this, and this. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't so scripted that I knew exactly where we were going. So I didn't really know what the story was going to be. I thought, of course, you would touch on the breakup just because it just happened very publicly, or I guess it didn't happen publicly. We kind of quit, and he went in a different direction, and you know what I mean? So we weren't really broke up. So I guess I felt like we had to say something about it. You know what I mean? To make it make sense. But I don't remember fighting for a creative direction. You know what I mean? Okay. For an agenda, that's for sure.
Chances 0 to 100 your dad was in the Bahamas.
If 0 means he was not there.
Correct.
0.
Okay.
My dad has never been to the Bahamas.
Well, explain this. And later in the show,
he's not going now.
A gift box came addressed as being from the Bahamas.
Oh,
for J.J. Armstrong when he opened the box.
My dad.
Jarrett was inside. What? And the two brawled all over the studio, out the door, through the aisles, into the parking lot, and finally in front of the studio until Jarrett chased J.J. Armstrong down
the street.
Union Avenue. Yeah. Jarrett got a huge pop and did an interview saying that people thought he deserted the USWA the past 2 years. But what happened was that every wrestler's dream was to wrestle in the main event in Madison Square Garden. He said he finally achieved that dream, but he felt he had given up too much and said that he had missed seeing his younger brother's high school football season last year and missed his sister's college graduation. And when his grandmother was on her deathbed, he flew in. He had to fly back out the next morning, and she didn't even remember him being there. He said he wasn't proud of what he had given up to achieve his dream, but when he heard about what happened to Marlon, that was it.
That was the last
great
straw.
Storytelling.
Hey, is it storytelling at its finest or what?
It's incredible.
How much when you read that, and we're cynical dudes, man. We're wrestling fans and Americans, so we're cynical dudes. But when you read it, if you don't think it through, you'll think that's sappy. Like, whoa, man, that's really sappy. And he just touched everyone's heart within hearing distance, within the sound of his voice. Every member of the world has been through not being there for an important occasion because of some, they had to sacrifice this or that. And so how many birthdays have I missed? Because so when he says that, I go, I've been there. You know what I mean? And so with that promo, with that well thought out promo, I went to the big leagues and I made it. But I forgot what I left behind. Oh. And I had to get back to it. Tell me that don't bring a tear to a glass eye, and I'll kick you in the niz on Main Street.
And it tells you how important this was to him. He's telling you, I came back for that. I saw what was happening, and this is why I'm back.
I had to come back. Yeah, just hot.
He also said that Jesse James Armstrong was a fake name.
What?
Yeah. He said you came up with it because you always wanted to be Double J, and that his real name was Brian Gerard James. He said he could have picked any wrestler in the world to be his roadie, and he made the roadie, and the roadie kept screwing up. He claimed USWA isn't like SMW because it doesn't have big money backers behind them. But SMW doesn't have any wrestlers who can back up their money.
Oh, man.
What a turn there.
Yeah.
Later in the show, J.J. Armstrong called up on a payphone and wanted to apologize to Jarrett and said all the problems in the WWF were a misunderstanding.
They were. And if he would just have listened to me, I could have explained this, and the whole history would have been totally different.
This is so good to take a real-life situation and turn it now into a promo to generate and create this whole storyline here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Incredible.
I mean, it's great. And what I love about Memphis is to an extreme they did this, but it was relative. Eddie Marlin, when he talked about coming back, my wife was on her deathbed because that's a relatable babyface thing. This is why I was vulnerable and I was away because I had to be. But like this crazy action has brought me back, and Randy Hales couldn't handle it anymore. He couldn't maintain all the chaos, so I had to come back. Then Jeff gets in there and he talks about these, but Memphis has always been touch on a subject in real life that is very touchy and run a story off that. They did that when Lawler's mom passed away, I think, or Dundee, somebody like they would do stuff like that, like your dead mom did that. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, that's too far to go. But with stuff like this, they do it, and they did it a lot because it's relative. Like people, I relate to that. You know what I mean? I have a family, and the other 6 days a week when I'm alive and I'm not watching wrestling, I have to deal with all that crap. So now if I listen to Jerry Lawler, who's the king of Memphis, oh my God, he goes through the same problems I have. I'm immediately attracted to him, and then he's talking about this other guy who's coming in here and going to do this and that. You know what I mean? Wrestling's the greatest soap opera ever.
This builds to the first match of the Double J's with both respective companies on the line, the USWA versus SMW. But it's being run on Monday night, still running against Nitro and Raw. Were you surprised they didn't move the weekly shows off Monday, Dog? Were you even considering that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they considered it, but I kind of thought they should have myself. Like, why would you try that? Look, if Monday Night Raw could be seasonal, I'm sure it would be a season when Monday Night Football did not exist. And that would be my same thinking along the lines here. The 11-13 show with the Jeff Jarrett return and the stipulation where the winning son would get both USWA and SMW against Jesse James Armstrong only spiked the crowd to a $6,500 house, which is only still $950 paid. And with an angle like that and the television show they had building up to it, they really should have done 3 times that many, according to the Observer. The match was said to have been the best match in Memphis in a while. Yeah. With Jarrett winning.
So let's stop right there just for a second, and just to appease me. Let's say that Mr. Observer, Dr. Observer, Doc Obb, I'll call him.
Doc Obb.
Let's say he's an expert on Memphis gates and all
Clearly
that.
he is. He's telling you.
So what more could have been done, Doc Obb? So it jumped $2,000. It jumped $2,000. So it was up. Let's not negate the fact that
but
it
you're
was
not
up.
3 times.
That
You're
it
not
drew.
3 times.
No,
You're
not
3
3 times at all. But if it was the best wrestling match in Memphis in a long time, what could I have done any better to make more people come? What could they have done any better to make more people come? We produced when we were asked to, and we produced. So, no, you don't know that there should have been 3 times that many. And to make that friggin' comment is asinine. Like, it really is. If you know that somehow with some algorithm that existed 25 years ago, I would like to have that conversation, because they just say stuff out of their yin-yang, and everybody that listens to them just calls it that's a fact. They should have. It was the best match. Well, what are you getting at? So what could have we done better, and what did your comment achieve?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was up. So we did what we were asked to do. The fact that you thought there should have been, and by the way, what market are you talking about? We're talking about Memphis, USWA, as it's going out of business. Like, what market are you talking about that anywhere around there? Jonesboro, Arkansas, these places that have been hard up for 50 years now and still are. Like, you're gonna, I don't know. That stuff like that angers me when they think they know so much, and it's still just your opinion, man. You know what I mean? Just like here, I give my opinion, but at least I clarify. That's my opinion. It's not a fact. It's how I feel. And I feel like those guys, I want to punch them all in the face.
Doc Obb.
Doc Obb, I want to kick in the dock.
Oh, I hate that guy. He continues. The 11/22 show was Jesse James Armstrong putting his hair against both the SMW and
Oh, my word.
USWA company against Jeff Jarrett. So probably for next week in the Memphis storyline, Bob Armstrong will control USWA. They really did nothing on television with Angle that Jarrett and USWA now control SMW. A lot of bouncing back and forth there.
Yeah.
Was there ever serious consideration of you losing your hair? Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, but I probably would have. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
would have. You didn't
can
fight
see when I was
against it. It just
when I
wasn't
was
right.
wrestling Jeff there, I didn't have braids or anything. It was just my real hair was grown right around the crown of my head, and so it was long, so I could put it in a ponytail, and that's kind of how, like that. Yeah, there you see it. That's kind of how I wrestled. So I didn't really have anything going on with my hair. I couldn't afford to get braids. But maybe if Doc Obb would have been running the show, I would have drawn 3 times the people, and then I could have got my braids done. But yeah, I'd have totally shaved my head for a cool angle.
Let's see if your great build and your great match did anything, dog, because the show that's run on the night before Thanksgiving, trying to move from Monday, quote, it still only draws 1150. You get the win, dog. First of all, that means the gate went up.
Because I'm good. I'm good.
We're not talking about that. Jesse James Armstrong this time beat Jeff Jarrett to set up the 11/27 match, where Jerry Jarrett put up his $1 million house in Hendersonville so he could get his company back. And Jerry Jarrett was brought in to be Jeff's corner with Bob Armstrong and his son corner.
Tell me that that's heaven. So I'm in heaven right now.
Incredible.
And not so much during the time of this. Right now, I'm in heaven right now, looking back and understanding and knowing the gravity of the situation with Bob Armstrong and Jerry Jarrett in the corners of their sons wrestling. Like, to me, knowing that right now, I would do a lot of things for a picture of that, for a picture of us 4 together, for something. And there might be one out there, I don't know. But like, just a still of them on the outside and me standing, like, I'd blow that sucker up, it'd be behind me. Because that's a cool one, man.
Hit us up. And look, if you can find that picture, hit us up at hashtag Corny Dog. How did you hear about Smoky Mountain closing? We're getting to that point. Did Cornette tell you? Were you shocked? Were you surprised?
I was. Look, I was not surprised. I knew they were kind of running low. They had stopped using Dad so much, and so I knew it was coming to an end. But I was kind of working with USWA. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. The truth of it was, I was a USWA guy, kind of working under the Smoky Mountain umbrella for creative. So I was still making towns, and you know what I mean, doing what I had to do. So I knew it was winding down, but I didn't, I was surprised as anybody when I heard it closed, because I knew Jim, he's passionate about stuff too, and I knew he wasn't going to go down without a fight.
So here we go. Approximately 520 fans paid $4,100 with Jarrett winning and gaining possession of SMW for whatever that means nowadays, says the Observer. Brad Armstrong, who had lost the SMW title 2 nights earlier, appeared with the belt as champion and was disqualified. Earlier in the show, when SMW had control of the promotion, so to speak, Bob Armstrong fired Lance Russell. However, Jarrett rehired him at the end of the show when his son regained possession of the promotion.
What a great... This is all so awesome. I gotta love it.
Storytelling.
Yes, it is, man. It's like really good. There's little beats that just continue to get better and better. Yeah, and look, I wouldn't have appreciated that at the time either because of my youth. Like, I wouldn't have appreciated this cool storytelling, but I sure do now. You know what I mean?
They continue anyway. They say, anyway, after Jeff Jarrett beat Jesse James Armstrong on 11-27, so Jerry Jarrett got to keep his $1 million house, which was at stake. Man, I wish you could have won that, man.
I know, me too. He has a nice big ballroom.
Would you still be living in it? I think
Heck
so.
Yeah. You can fish on 2 different ponds he's got on his property.
Well, after he got to keep it, and Jarrett won control of both USWA and SMW, which is still being used in the storyline, even though the company is now officially defunct. The storyline goes that Bob Armstrong's lawyers got an injunction giving him 50% of the USWA. Is this a stretch? Is this where,
no, did
the storyline die, or is this, what are you thinking?
Well, no, this is where, yes, it's where it started to die. But it was also a move you have to make.
Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah. What do? You gotta try to salvage something because it was your main thing, and now it's not a thing. You know what I mean? So how do we salvage whatever we can do off of this? And that was the creative decisions made. I'm sure the Observer and Doc Obb are in full support and are just here to see it all and just happy to be fans.
Doc Obb. The move to Wednesday on 12/27 up the house to 1,300 fans and $9,100, or more than triple what they had just did a few weeks ago when they hit rock bottom with a $2,700 house and 340 fans.
So in the headline, you're saying is it was working.
Yeah, no, yeah, but that's not.
That's not what he's saying.
No, we can't give you credit.
Doc Obb is definitely the heel in this story.
In the headline match, Jeff Jarrett retained the unified title over Brian Christopher due to an outside interference of both Jesse James and Brad Armstrong. The gimmick is that Jarrett didn't see or know they interfered and simply covered Christopher after they did their damage, and in fact, after the match, joined with Christopher in running both of them off. A program between you and Brad against Jeff and Brian, that could have been awesome, right?
Man,
that could have been awesome.
I mean, just especially if, Brad would have probably, and Jeff would have pulled it all together. Brian and me were both freaking idiots, but and that's just the truth. Brian was great. Brian was great. There's no doubt about that. And I carried my weight, and I'm happy to say that much. But we were both not thinking about important things. But if we could have been I don't know, just a little later in my career than this. What a thing! I'm sure. Like I said, I'm sure those two, Jeff and Brad, would have put something together that would have been awesome, and I would have just went along with it because I wouldn't have known any better. But I would have just loved to have been a part of putting that thing together and then executing it, because that's a tag match I would have in my dreams.
Some of you are trying to execute the perfect holiday plan.
Yeah.
You've got friends and family coming over. You got to feed a lot of people.
Yep. Uncle Joe has body odor. How do you address that?
He smells like a beef Mexi melt. Yeah. Well, don't be settling for the beef Mexi melt. How about you get in contact with our friends at Jimmy's Famous Seafood,
Dog?
Me and you have both eaten our weight in Jimmy's Famous Seafood over the years.
And
guess what?
That's
they
a big
ship
bill. Food
nationwide.
Yes,
how about
they do.
this? You can get free 2-day nationwide shipping on orders over $125. That's excluding their steamed crabs and fresh items. All you got to do is use the promo code DOGG. How about this, Dog? Maryland crab cakes, soups, chowders, oysters, signature steak, desserts, gluten-free items as well.
I can't sing this place's praises enough, and I'm being dead serious, just like I am with the others that I utilize and promote on here. This is the best seafood. It's out of Baltimore. It comes fresh, dry ice, frozen still to your house. Some of the best crab cakes. That's what they're famous for, is their crab cake. Best crab cakes you'll ever eat in your life.
Come on.
No doubt.
A lot of crab in there, buddy.
A lot of crab in there. They're literally more crab than cake, and it's so delicious. Everything they have is delicious, and they always, if you're listening to this, you're probably a wrestling fan. If you're probably a wrestling fan, you probably go on social media and follow your favorite wrestlers, and all the wrestlers talk about this place. Yes. Jimmy's Seafood in Baltimore, man. It is the place to go. Now you don't have to go. You can just order it, and they'll send it to your house. And so I can't think of a better way.
You've had it shipped to your house, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, no. I've had it shipped to my house several times. And the food is incredible.
Just
every
like
time,
when you're sitting there.
And frozen, and it tells you the instructions exactly how to cook it and eat it. And man, it couldn't be a better choice, especially if it's a holiday gift, man. Some of this stuff coming to your house, you will be on the happy list, on the good list next year for sure.
You got that person you don't know what to get? How about order free 2-day nationwide shipping if you use the promo code DOGG. Several packages to choose from that make holiday gifts. You got the famous gift box. That includes, get this, dog, you'll appreciate this, 4 of the world's best colossal Maryland crab cakes, 2 different crab soups, crab dip, seafood seasoning, and their signature bay sauce, or you can get the tailgate bundle that gets 2 pounds of wings, a full rack of baby back ribs, a pint of crab dip, and crab cake mix, or you can create your own package as well. Over 40 years in the business, it's been featured on diners, dine-ins, and drives, Beat Bobby Flay, and more. Dog, we've ate there. Me and you, look, the first time I ever visited Baltimore for any kind of event, I said, I don't know where it is and what we're doing, but we're going to Jimmy's Famous Seafood. And that's what I know. I got the T-shirt to prove it that looks like the Led Zeppelin logo. I'm excited.
You weren't mad about it either, were you?
Oh, no. You can't get them in the shipping. You might, but I'm not promising you can. Let me tell you what's underrated there if you ever go in person. The milkshakes.
Ooh.
Incredible.
Yeah. Look, they don't have nothing that ain't great. So you can order any of those things and close your eyes when you order it and still be happy with what you get.
Throw a dart at the menu and you're going to have one of the best meals you've ever had. And you can now get it shipped to you nationwide. Go to jimmysfamousseafood.com. Again, it orders over $125. You use the promo code DOGG and you're going to get free 2-day nationwide shipping. This is the perfect Christmas gift. Or if you're just chubby and fat like me and you just want some good grub for yourself.
And if you think about it, that $125 you get free shipping, that's a meal. You go out to eat with your wife tonight somewhere nice, and that's how much you're going to pay. This will come to your house. You don't have to go nowhere. It's the way to do it, man. Eat crab cakes naked.
Jimmy's
you don't have to. I'm saying that's not part of Jimmy's promotion. I'm just saying you're welcome for that visual.
Jimmy'sFamousSeafood.com. Use promo code DOGG.
Yeah.
All right. Jerry Lawler returned to action and won the SMW title from Brad Armstrong, while PG-13 beat Rock and Roll Express. Those were also the same finishes as 1226 in Louisville before 1,200 fans and $9,200 gate, while both 1225 and 1230 in Nashville, they drew nearly 900 fans for similar matches. Then in Louisville, after the PG-13 versus Rock and Roll Express match, they did a brawl all the way to the basement of the Louisville Gardens, which I'm told was a great dressing room brawl, which ended up with Smothers and Jesse James Armstrong involved and leaving PG-13 both bloody. That program, Dog, would end with the death of Smoky Mountain. Was there something you were told was going to happen that didn't, that you wish did, or did y'all pretty much tie up storylines because you knew you were going out of business?
No, that's what they were tying it up. They were tying up loose ends here. Look, I'd love to tell you they were going to put the title back on me, and we were going to Germany, and we were going to Japan. No, but
you were going to beat Bret Hart. That's what you were going to do.
Well, if I wrestled him, that's for sure. No, just kidding. Just kidding. He would have always.
I think Fergal McDivitt was going to take the championship.
Me and Fergal were tag team champions of CGW back in.
But it closed.
64.
It closed. That hurt.
Yeah, they closed down because of Brawler got in that car crash.
Yes, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Was there something looking back? I mean, we've talked about it. A lot of parts you said you weren't really focused on.
Yeah.
You were just showing up doing your thing, and you got some cool moments in there as well.
For sure.
Was there something back you wish you could have done, or did you think, hey, we pretty much did it?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I got to do and look at a very small scale, but it was perfect for me at the time in my career and the time in my life. It's exactly what I needed. I got an opportunity to be the world champion in a promotion that was televised and that ran weekly towns, and it taught me a little, only because of my attention span, about life and business and the business and life in the business and all of the above. And so I was extremely proud of my time with Tracy Smothers. So this was for sure, and maybe I went to Germany after the Knoxville show and then came back, because I'm very open about this. I used steroids one time in my life. It was at this point in time in my career. I had just come off of them because I was in Germany and I was on them in Germany. And so I was very aggressive and I was very, young and strong and big, 6'4", 250. And so good sized dude and I was ready to go. And so I was young and hungry. And I remember the time tagging with Tracy and PG-13. And I remember the time singles working with Brian for the title. Like, those were times in my careers that I will remember and love till I'm dead, gone, because I loved Brian Christopher, I loved PG-13, I loved Tracy Smothers, and it was all of the above all at once. Doug Gilbert, I haven't mentioned him enough in this specific podcast, and I sorry for that. It just hit me. I know you mentioned him earlier. It just hit me what a pivotal part. And I don't even know if that I worked with him that much there, but I worked, in close proximity. And so Doug is still, to this day, we text once, twice a week. Still a great friend of mine and has been since that time. One funny story real quick about Doug is,
come on,
we were in Louisville Garden, and I was, like I said, I was still on the gas, and I was the big heel of the territory, and I was the champion, and I had just beat up Brian Christopher, and here came some more baby faces, and they were supposed to run me off, and I changed my mind. I wasn't going to be run off. And I said, I think you're under arrest. I don't think I'm going to let you arrest me today. And I went to beating the fire out of anybody and everybody. And I mean, they kept sending people. And finally, the story goes, because I didn't hear this part of it, but Doug said, Randy Hales came to me and said, Doug, go out there. You're the only one he won't punch. And so here came Doug, and I hit Doug once, and he went down, and he came back to me and said, stop, Brian, stop. Randy said, get out of the ring. So here, by that time, I realized, yeah, what am I doing here, man? I'd already beat up a couple of people that should have been able to run me off. I just ruined them. They ran down there, and I just killed them.
They're going, wait, he was asleep. I don't know what we do now.
That didn't matter. I just, I got him, shut him down. And Doug came out to this day, he tells me, man, you wasn't stopping for nobody. But I don't even know what I was thinking. It was just one of them moments.
Let me ask you this then. Why, personal question, why'd you get off the gas? Why didn't you continue? You didn't like the way it made you felt, or it just...
No, it made me really like the way my body responded to it, as far as with working out with it and working out without it. But in all honesty, and this sounds weird to a guy who would literally snort anything off the back of a public bathroom. But I was scared of it. I was scared of what it would do to my body, and I didn't know. You know what I mean? And I'm sure my brothers probably used it. And I don't know. I don't think my dad ever did. He told me he never did in his life, and he never lied to me about nothing. We snorted things off of the back of bathrooms together, so he would have definitely told me about that.
Like he was hiding stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so. Look, Dad was in the day where they used to lift heavy things and eat raw hamburger meat. You know what I mean? And that was in between workouts for him. You know, and so it was a different time in the 50s and 60s. And
you just weren't comfortable with it.
Yeah. And so I wasn't. And the truth be told, I didn't. It wasn't a part. So working out is so Billy Gunn, Brad Armstrong, Jeff Jarrett. Like, you'll see people and see their bodies and know this. Physical fitness is a part of this person's makeup. You know what I mean? Like, this person takes their physical fitness maybe to an extreme level. Like, they're going to the gym and they're doing serious work, and so a lot of that stuff is done to lubricate, like, very good uses. And if you utilize it in a good way, in a proper like a prescription, man, steroids they were invented because they're great for healing. Decadurabolin and stuff for healing a shoulder surgery, or like, there's all kind of different steroids that are great for what they are made for. You know what I mean? And if you do them correctly, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I just was in Germany, and you could literally buy it at the gas station. So I got, you couldn't buy it at the gas station, but I could get it very easily. I just did it, and I just got off. I'm not a body guy. I never have been. It's all been about, look, I don't.
With your character, it wasn't important. We didn't expect you to come out looking like the big monster.
I wasn't. That wasn't me. This is how I always characterized my character. I'm the guy who says, "Do you want it? You want unleaded, or?" You know what I mean? And then I pump your gas. That's the road dog. But he's also the guy that's quick with his tongue and will punch in the face. So, you know what I mean? Like, we all know that guy somewhere. That guy is, oh man, he's funny, but he'll don't piss him off. He'll do that, or whatever. And
we're gonna get in a bar fight if we go out.
We are gonna. If we go out tonight and he comes, we're gonna get in a fight.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? And so that was me on drugs, and so that's the way it was. I don't know.
Well, in this timeline, Jeff returned to the WWF in the late 95, early 96 as well. Yep. Were you surprised with that, or what were your thoughts here when you saw him back?
No, again, learned, because I knew he was going back. We're like, again, we don't fall out of communication, Jeff and I. And that's very different between a lot of wrestlers. Were
you surprised when he told you, though?
Yeah, I was. But that was part of my learning process about this industry and about you and your family comes first. Nobody else.
Yeah,
nobody else. Yeah. It's a business, and I'm in the business of me. Yeah. And that's the bottom line. And if I'm different now. I work for the company. My best interest is the company. And so I have to make decisions where I have to think about what's best for the company and make decisions that cover that.
But you went back to work for the company for you.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And Jeff did too. What it taught me about this industry is, and it taught me about WWE in particular, WWF at the time, is, man, they're a great company for second chances. And in this industry, you almost can't burn a bridge. You know what I mean? Like, what you really got to go out of your way to burn a bridge in a company that's run by people who know how to make money and want to make money. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot and not make $1 off of you if they can, and they'll bring you back. And so that's I wasn't surprised by him going back. What it was for me a lesson of, oh, okay, so it's a business about you. And look, Jeff was very specific about when he did the China thing and held, like, he's a very astute businessman. Yeah. And I've said that before, and I'll never stop saying it because it's how I feel about him. His business acumen is the most attractive thing about him, other than his nice ass. But like, he's a businessman. He always has been. So he always handled everything from a real business-specific vantage point. And I don't even know what we were talking about. I was just putting over Jeff so much.
Talk about him going back. You realize he taught you a
he's a
lesson.
business dude. And so truth be told, they can't be mad about him pulling a fast one over on them when it comes to business, that was as much their fault as it was his, and they had to know that.
And you can't be mad with him going back.
No, heck no.
Yeah.
He's got a wife and children, and you know what I mean? Like, if you can be mad at him going back, and at the time I might have been, you know what I mean? But I cannot fathom that feeling where I stand today in my life, knowing what I know are priorities in both mine and his life. I cannot feel that way today, and I will not. I don't. You know what I mean? At the time, if I ever did, it was totally out of jealousy, and that's an embarrassing thing for me to admit. You know what I mean? Because that's ugly, and that's not pretty, or not cute, and not sweet. That's jealousy, and that's of the devil.
Before we get
hashtag Corny Dog.
Hashtag Corny Dog. We're about to get some questions from the fans, but before we do, this is late 95, early 96.
Yep.
We now went out of business. What was your relationship, if any, with WWF at this point? Anything?
Nothing at all.
When did that start to blossom? When did you start to have conversation with him again?
At the end of this, you know what I mean? Like at the end of this, whenever I stopped working with USWA, and I was working there, and they called me back and said, "Hey, you interested in coming up here and rehashing this and doing that?" And I was like, at the time, I'm there with my wife. I'll never forget it, in our little patio home that she bought by herself, with my son from her first marriage that I adopted when he was 3. So there we stood, and she's pregnant with my first child with her. You know, Amberly was my first child with her, but her brother was 4. Dustin was 4 at the time. And so I got the phone call, and it was Bruce Pritchard, and he said, like, "You want to come back here?" And it was like, "Look, what we'll give you is $100,000 a year for 5 years." And I literally wrote down $500,000 and showed it to my wife, because that's what I mean, dude, I had a baby coming. I'm working Memphis. She's working at a casino, pregnant. And I mean, like, we're doing what we got to do to survive, but it is exactly that. We are surviving. And so when I got that call, man, I jumped at the chance, and, it's all down.
Life-changing money. Yeah, life-changing money.
Yeah. Especially for my family, me and my family, you know.
Incredible. All right, before we get to some questions from the listeners, we need to roll that beautiful beam footage, because the holidays here, some of you putting the holidays on the credit cards.
Ooh.
You might need to talk to our friend Conrad Thompson. He can tell you how to save with Conrad. Yeah, he can tell you how to not do that. Roll that beautiful beam footage.
It's that time of year, boys and girls. Can you believe it? I know I can't. I know what you're thinking. This is going to be expensive. How am I going to pay for all this? Have you seen the economy lately? Can we put Christmas on pause? You can't. It's going to be here sooner rather than you think. And I'm here to help at SaveWithConrad.com. How's this for starters? No house payments for 2 months. You don't have to make a payment in December. You're done until January. And come January, you're going to have a happier new year. Because it'll be with no credit card debt. It'll be with lower monthly payments. We can knock out your car payment. We can get rid of your second mortgage. We can pay off all your credit cards. We can get you the cash you need to turn your house into your dream home, and do it with no money out of pocket. Don't get stressed out about the holidays. Just go to SaveWithConrad.com right now. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. It just takes a few minutes to get started. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Serious business. Get a lower monthly payment. Make this the best Christmas ever. Skip your next 2 house payments at SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, Dog, let's get to some fan questions.
All right.
Hashtag AskDOGG.
All right.
At WWE Master 2018, he says, "Ask Dog, was there any plans to do a USWA versus Smoky Mountain Wrestling Super Show in a big arena or a little or big stadium, or did you guys just focus on, like you mentioned, the towns you had already been working?
Yeah, the established towns that they had, the Memphis, the Nashville, the Louisville, and then they had spot shows, you know what I mean, that you'd do every Friday or something. Would be a spot show at some little town, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Excuse me, Middleton, Tennessee, or so, you know what I mean? Like little.
You didn't ever hear a bigger plan to move up in venues.
No, and truth be told, you can tell by and this is just honesty, you can tell by the ticket numbers, we couldn't have done that. Like we didn't have the fan base to do that, and that's just the truth, you know.
KJ Roscoe, he tweets us at You Didn't Know Pod, at Brian R.D. James, at the Casio Kid. Ask Dog, learning how different you were as a person in the mid-'90s and knowing how different the business was. Curious, did you know you had a knack for booking, writing shows, and did you chat much business with Jim Cornette at the time? P.S., at the Casio Kid, most underrated host in the business. I had to get that shameless plug in.
I would have too.
But back to you.
Hey, let's talk about you for a second.
Underrated means underpaid.
Yeah, of course.
Did you have a knack in the 90s? You clearly were not thinking of writing and booking
that's,
shows.
Look, that's the thing is I wish, just like this individual wishes he could sit under the learning tree of Corny Dog, hashtag Corny Dog. But like I didn't think about that. I didn't think I would have a knack for it. I found out that I did kind of honestly, when Hunter called me and said, hey, you want to come back and be a producer? And then a month or two into that, they said, you want to be on the writing team? And I learned, like, okay, I can do this. Like, I got a feel for what's right, and I got a feel for what feels good and what feels bad and heat. And, and so, yeah, like maybe I can do this. So I really didn't know I could do it until I started being paid to do it. And I found out, like, oh, okay, I can do this. You know what I mean? And the one thing that I feel like I do the best is thinking about the wrestling, the storyline, and then executing it inside the parameters of the ring or the bowl. You know what I mean? Like how does it work from first music to last bell? What happens? And that's where I feel like I come in strong in my wheelhouse. But yeah, look, I would have loved to have sat at a man. How many learning trees could I have sat under had I cared to? Ron and Robert Fuller, the Fullers who ran up there in their area and then ran down here too. I had Jim Cornette. I had my dad. Holy crap! I had my dad, and all I did was learn from him. I got everything I got osmosis from him. If I'd actually talked to him about it, it would have been crazy. But yeah, I wish I would have sat under more learning trees. But I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in the learning at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just the names we've read in this pod: Eddie Marlin, Doug Gilbert. Just and look,
everybody. I did have the opportunity to not sit under those learning trees when it comes to booking and stuff per se. But I spent my life around them all. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I guess I did kind of.
Michael Double M tweets us at You Didn't Know Pod. If you can sing one song to Jeff, what would it be and why?
Right now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Send him a message. If you had to, send Jeff a message.
I will. You ready?
Oh, gosh.
I just called to say I love you. And even though you left me at USWA and went to Nitro. I'm just kidding. That would be it.
You still love him? All right.
That would be it, because I do. I love him more today than I ever have, and that's just a fact. He's always been good to me, man, and you don't get a lot of people that are good to you your whole life, and he has been good to me longer in my life than I've been than he wasn't, and that means a lot to me.
Everybody start tweeting at Real Jeff Jarrett and send the YouTube clip of I just called to say I love you, please, and just put Dog sends his love.
Please.
Ghostwise at John Daniel D says, how the hell is Jeff Jarrett still so good?
Yeah.
Him, Jericho, and Daddy Ass are on another level of pro wrestling that is unheard of at their age, at least in terms of physicality, and how they still look like they're in their 30s. He says, F those guys. Not really, they're amazing. But Just
Still F
talk
those guys.
talk about those three guys, man. They're
Yeah. Well,
y'all are
I'll
all
tell
the
you.
same age, and they're
I'll
still
tell you
working.
I'll tell you what is obvious to me, and so it is obvious that all three of them are incredibly talented individuals who have recreated themselves time and time again. Excuse me. And what Jeff has done is brought back with the Ric Flair last match thing. Jeff brought back what being a heel is.
Incredible.
And people who saw that, and a lot of people did, said, holy crap, Jeff Jarrett's on another level. And the truth is, he just showed you what a heel looks like. He doesn't care if you'll cheer for him. He's not going to do a cool spot to make you pop. He's going to go out there and he's going to get heat. And that's what he did. And so these three guys just continue to show everybody that they're on a completely separate level. And I believe the magic is in recreation. And they have all continued to create and recreate themselves. And it's been profitable for all three.
I will tell you, you've seen light years more wrestling than I ever have and ever will. But in that building in Nashville,
Yep.
sitting up there watching that show, I have never seen anyone get heat like Jeff Jarrett got when he walked out. He knew how to work every one of us. Karen was perfect.
Yeah.
He worked the crowd. He's shoving people in the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, he was pure. That was what wrestling heat is.
Man, he was
to me.
jacked up, and he came out there, and it was, like I said, palpable. You could feel his energy radiating, and it being projected back. You know what I mean? Like, you son of a! I wanted to slap him myself. You know what I mean? And it was like, holy mackerel! What is this? But it was an energy that made your hair stand up and made you feel uncomfortable, and it gets your attention. And it's like, holy crap! I'm in the presence of something different now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was that night. If you weren't in the crowd, I understand that you don't have any idea what we're talking about, but there was a lot of people in the crowd too, and it was some crazy energy in there, man. But again, we're talking about those three cats, recreation, and it speaks to the depth of their talent.
We appreciate all the interaction. We appreciate the questions.
Yep.
If you've got some feedback on this episode, again, hit us with that hashtag Corny Dog.
Corny Dog.
CornyDogg. There it is up on the screen if you're watching on our YouTube. By the way, while you're here, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating on any platform you are consuming us at. If you're on Twitter, be sure to follow us. He's at Brian R.D. James.
Yep.
I'm at the Casio Kid. The show handle, of course, is at You Didn't Know Pod. If you are on YouTube, like, subscribe, turn on notifications at youtube.com. DOGG.
And if you're not on YouTube, like you don't really know how good looking Casio and I are. And so I'd love for you to subscribe to that and just take a look. You know what I mean? To get a little eyeful, drink it in, as Jericho used to say, and tell us what you think.
See, if you watch YouTube, me and Road Dogg can write off this $25 ring light we bought off on our taxes. So please, just view it once. You know what I mean?
All you got to do is view us once.
Just help us out on our taxes.
Help a brother out.
Dog, next week, we've talked a lot about them in the past couple weeks and this week. They like to talk. They like to be characters. They've also done your job as a creative writer. So
Lord.
Next week, Dog, we're going to discuss Vince Russo and Jim Cornette.
Look, let me ask you this. Which one of them do you think will be burying me on Twitter? Our Cornette's probably off of Twitter now because Elon Musk bought it. But how quick, who's going to yell at me first on Twitter out of whatever I say stupid or wrong on this podcast upcoming? I am looking forward to it the way I looked forward to navigating landmines in the Persian Gulf.
Well, if you want to help Road Dogg get some heat with either one of these gentlemen, go to @YouDidn'tKnowPod and send us your questions, opinions, thoughts on both men, on either man, good, bad, the ugly. We are going to discuss it all. Vince Russo and Jim Cornette.
Okay.
Don't forget. I know this is ad-free shows. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DOGG at manscaped.com.
Yep.
Happy New Year to your balls. And don't forget to try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code DOGG at checkout. Pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com. Promo code DOGG. Receive your first month free. And go to Jimmy's Famous Seafood
Amen.
to send somebody the best holiday package they will ever get in their life. Promo code DOG.
That read also works for the Blue Chew. But go ahead.
The holiday package. It is. Dog, this has been a fun one. It's good to talk to you about this.
Always.
Good
always.
look back. So many characters in this one, and can't wait to hear your take on Vince Russo and Jim Cornette next week.
Hashtag Corny Dog.
If you didn't enjoy this show, my man Road Dogg's got 2 words for you.
Suck it.
Yeah, you said it aggressive there.
I was like pissed, wasn't I? I'd feel bad all of a sudden.